No, not at all. Am I?
A little bit, but it might be my
Oh,
fault. It might be my fault.
I don't know. It's it's somebody's fault, but who knows? It's
It's somebody's
someone
fault.
else.
Um,
Somebody's. It's always somebody's fault. Um, where are you?
hey,
Hey.
I'm in. Okay, I'm gonna. Hello. Wait,
Okay, there you are. Hello? Hi, you froze for a sec.
Wi-Fi for some reason it just fucks up.
Oh, that's okay. No problem. Can you hear me
Um,
okay? Everything's cool?
yeah, it seems to be better now. But to
Good.
answer your question, I'm in Houston, Texas. We're both in Texas right now, I think.
Oh, I didn't know you were in Houston right now. That's great.
Yeah, we have a show in 2 days, so I have a day off today and
Yes.
tomorrow, and we're almost fucking done, bro.
Are you excited to be done?
Um, I'm excited for a break for sure, but this has been like, I would say the most fun I've had on a tour, even though we like haven't been able to leave our hotels or leave the venue or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been a really fun show. Cool
That's great.
to do the Christmas shows in bigger rooms. Yeah. But definitely excited
Mm-hmm.
for a break.
Yeah, that's
I can
awesome.
feel my brain,
Yeah.
the gears. I can feel the gears in my brain,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I can't feel any gears in my brain, but maybe in a couple hours I'll recheck.
That's actually a really
Anything's
good song
twisting
title.
around. Gears
Um,
in my brain.
I'm listening to a lot
I
of
can feel
Earth,
the
Wind, and
gears
Fire
in
and thinking about you.
because
Did you
I'm
hear me?
funky. Yeah,
Yes, literally that.
that I
Literally
love
because of
that.
that.
What
But how are you? Are you feeling funky?
I'm feeling funky. Yeah, I'm having a funky Christmas time here in where am I? I'm in Austin right now.
You are?
Yeah, I'm so Patty's family is down here and I'm literally on a farm right now.
Oh, how is that? Oh my God, that's kind of nice though that you're not in Arlington, no offense.
Yeah, totally. I agree. But I am going back in like 2 days to Arlington for a little bit. But no,
Okay.
I'm having a good time. Just I was watching A Christmas Story before I got on Instagram Live with you.
I love that. I've only
Hmm.
seen that movie, I think, probably one time in my life.
It's great. It's funny. It's like one of those movies that you can just watch a million times in a row and just laugh very hard.
Yeah. Did you see House
Hmm.
of Gucci?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
It's definitely a movie. Like they made a movie
Yeah,
and there are actors in it.
right. Okay. And Lady Gaga's in it or something, and she's like Russian or Italian or something. Just Italian, right?
Italian. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Is it believable?
Is her accent believable?
Yeah.
Um, I, I don't know if I can personally like I listen to her speaking with an accent in the movie and I'm like, "Oh, like
Hmm.
I could believe this person has an accent." I don't know if it's Italian necessarily. I was reading some reviews that people were like, "She sounds like a Russian spy."
Mm.
And um Jared Leto sounds like Mario. Um, but but overall a good
That sounds
flick.
great. Yeah. Um, the last movie that I saw in theaters was the Ghostbusters movie, and no one had any Russian accents in that, but or Italian,
That's good.
either of those. No Italian
Was
ghosts, no Russian ghosts.
was it the wait, which one was it? The newer one? What's the deal with the
Yeah,
newer one? Is it like the all-female cast like that first one?
no, no. Basically, they just wanted to forget that one ever happened. They were like, that flopped. We're going to just make a whole new Ghostbusters thing. And it's basically like the great grandchildren of some of the ones from like the original one. So, like, whoever all the main people's names are. I forgot all of them. Yeah, but those guys. It's like their great
John
grand Cusack.
John Goodman?
John Goodman. What if he wasn't in Ghostbusters?
No,
Jon
he
Favreau?
was.
John Goodman?
No,
No,
I'm just kidding. John.
I think Lady Gaga was in Ghostbusters with Andrea Bocelli.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, are you ready to get into some 2021 hot topics?
Oh boy, am I ever. And as you can tell by the rubbing of the hands.
That's when you know, people. It's the international sign for I'm ready.
That's when you know. It's all about
yes,
body language.
That's true. Okay, so.
Do you think gay people are experts at body language?
Yes. Do you?
I think gay people are experts at sort of gobbling pole and perhaps packing a little bit of fudge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I would have to agree. Here's a cat, by the way.
Let me see.
Crawled up here.
Oh, oh, that's not your cat.
No, since I'm on a farm, there are like 40 cats. Like literally, there's like 40 cats. Oh God, she's gonna eat me.
What a dream. What a beautiful.
I'm surrounded by cats. Surrounded by.
That's all you could ever ask for. I'm gonna be totally transparent with you. I do feel like you're getting my responses a little later than I'm sending them. If it's working for you.
Oh, okay.
Then I have no problem. Yeah. Do I feel like I'm kind of like missing the punchlines a little bit?
No, not necessarily. It could be this small lag, this farm lag that I'm dealing with, but yeah, that's probably why.
I do think it's the farm lag. Okay.
It's probably farm lag. I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah. Very cool. Cool. As long as my jokes land and you laugh at them, I'll be good.
They're landing. Yeah, I think they're definitely landing.
Okay,
I'm getting them. Okay, great. So, 2021. Let's talk about it, Mitch. It was a crazy year, and the first thing that I wanted to ask you is, how did your year start off, and what was your first memory of 2021 that you can remember?
Well, if we're gonna be super technical with the very first memory, I would say I was at a New Year's Eve party, get together in LA at someone's house, and I was wearing a faux fur coat with Dalmatian print on it, and I had eaten so much cheese and had so much champagne. And I remember sort of hobbling down Uber in really painful shoes. So that was my first memory, I think. Like 12:01, I'm talking, January 1st.
That's probably very similar to a lot of people's first memory. Dalmatian coat.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's probably similar to yours.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to wear mine, but I left it downstairs. I gave it to Patty's father to wear. He's wearing it downstairs. So, yeah. But that's great. That's great. My first memory of the year was I was in a hospital taking care of a family member, and I found out in the hospital that I had COVID. And then I went home. Yeah, then I went home, or at least to a house in Arlington, and I fell asleep for like 15 hours. I was so exhausted. And I woke up, and the first thing that happened was I walked down the stairs, and the insurrection was on television. That was how my year started off. And
and how is it panned out for you the rest of the year? Or are we getting into that?
Oh no, it's been a lot better. It started off kind of down here. It just went up, everything just kind of started going up. And that was how my year started. Now my year is ending by talking to you and being surrounded by a bunch of cats. So I would say pretty big divide going on.
Pretty good.
Pretty big right here. Pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, so that was the beginning of our years. So pretty similar, pretty similar. I was wearing a Dalmatian coat in the
Yeah.
hospital. Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, a couple things that I remember from 2021 that I'd love to get your opinion on are, first of all, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West getting a divorce. How do we feel about this?
Getting a divorce.
Yeah.
My first instinct is I feel sad for the children of divorce.
Yes.
Um, I feel that maybe they weren't so great of a couple after all, but oh, they
Mm-hmm.
loved to dress up.
Yes, they did. They did dress up.
They loved to
They
dress up.
did like that.
And I think,
Yes,
I mean, it seems like they're on good terms now because she was at the Donda listening party.
I saw. Yes, right. Well, that's good to
But now
know that
she's
they're
with Pete
doing good.
Davidson.
I was just going to ask, yes, how are we feeling about Pete Davidson and Kim K? Do you feel it's real or do you feel it's a publicity stunt?
How do I feel? Listen, I think I think that I think both of them will do anything. I think they'll do anything, which is fine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I do think he is probably really funny,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got BDE, as some people might say.
Sure, sure, sure. This is how I feel about Pete Davidson. I I watched him in a movie with Bill Burr. I forget what it was called. It came out like a year and a half ago. I think Judd Apatow directed it, and I understand the appeal. I just think also like how I feel about Steve Buscemi is they both look like cigarettes. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if a person were a cigarette, I think Pete Davidson kind of looks like a cigarette with
I
BDE.
think, I relate to that strongly because
Mm-hmm.
what's behind you? Oh, it's
Oh,
people.
I'm about to get kidnapped, but it's okay. It doesn't
Cool.
matter.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, cigarette. Yeah. So as somebody who suffers from dark circles under the eyes, I can
Mm.
definitely directly relate.
Mm-hmm.
But boy,
Mm-hmm.
do I think that um a funny comparison.
But
And I
like,
know what you're saying.
yeah, right, because there's an appeal about cigarettes as well to people. Like, and it's always this contrasting thing where you've got like really hot people smoking cigarettes, and then you think about Pete Davidson and all the women that he's dated, right? Pete Davidson,
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, Pete Davidson, Kim K,
Yeah.
Pete Davidson, and someone else that he's dated, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're saying because he's sort of like skinny, like a cigarette.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, kind of in the hair, and he's kind of got like, yeah,
but it's
like
not,
he looks
you're
like he's
not comparing, it's not the physical, it's not the appearance of the cigarette. It's more of like a metaphorical, like, how do we even put it
kind,
into words?
yeah,
He
yeah.
embodies
It's
cigarette smoke, perhaps.
probably totally. Maybe that's why he's just like around it a lot, and so
Yeah.
then people start to associate him and
And let me
cigarettes,
tell
or
you
at least
something.
me.
Models
Okay,
love smoking.
that's true.
And Pete Davidson and models, let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you, they go together like, boy, you've never seen it before.
Boy, I've never seen it before.
Hmm.
That's right.
So,
Boy, I have not. That's right. Okay, so they're getting together, right? We've got Kim Kardashian, we've got Pete Davidson. Now we also have Ben Affleck and J Lo getting back together. Was this shocking news to you? Did you care? Did you not care? Very curious.
I don't care, and I'm just stressed for them at that age, putting themselves
Mm.
through so much again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, don't, like, just I would, if I had that much money, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even care about People magazine. I would retire and I would live in a castle in Scotland with
Totally.
40 cats.
40. Yeah. Uh-huh. Would you have a moat at your castle in Scotland?
I would have, yeah, I think I would have a moat. I would have a boat on the moat
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm. With a goat, maybe.
with a goat. and
Mm-hmm.
and then I and then I think I would be the goat, actually, if you think about it. Do you think of yourself as the
Mm.
goat?
I think of myself more as like an actual goat than the greatest of anything, really. So.
I think of myself as unfuckwithable. and and um and I think of myself often. I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In what way?
In the way that I'm like, are you going to survive this day? Like, are we going to be okay? Is there a meltdown around the corner? And normally, I mean, these days
Mm,
the answer is no. It's more like
that's good.
how much salmon are we ready to eat in one sitting?
Yeah, I get
And
that. Yeah.
do I need a full bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, or should I wait maybe another week?
Mm, yeah, those are the tough questions of this year, I'm sure. You are a salmon boy. You do like your salmon from what I
I
can
do.
remember. So
I do. Have I eaten salmon
I
with
get that.
you?
Um, no, I just kind of have this feeling that you're more of a salmon. But we've talked about salmon a little bit because I don't like it, and you asked me one time if I liked it, and I don't really.
Okay, yeah. That is, I guess that would be memorable. I do think I am shocked that you
Hmm.
don't like it though. It's so good for you and it tastes
I've
really
never
good.
been. I know. I've just maybe I don't know. I didn't like it when I was a kid, and now it's just I have this weird like memory of not liking it. Maybe I just need to man up and try it again, and we can become salmon buddies
Yeah, maybe
together
you should
and
be a
eat salmon.
man.
Yeah, maybe I should. I think I'm lagging on that. Um, um, yeah. Okay. So true story about Jennifer Lopez. First of all, have you ever met her?
I have not. I've been in a room that she was occupying once or
Mm,
twice, but never
yes,
met
I
her.
feel you. So this is a true story. A couple years ago, I was at an after party for Dancing with the Stars, which I played on like 8 years ago or something. And I was hanging out with a couple people. It was after a taping, and I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and it was literally J Lo, and she said, "Hi, Dylan," and I like couldn't understand what was happening. I thought it was
Yeah.
like fake or that I was in a dream. And I guess she knew a couple people that were at this party that I knew, and they were like, go up to Dylan and pretend like you know him, like as a joke or something. And so she like literally knew my name. And then she said, dance with me. I swear to God. And we
Oh,
danced for like, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. And then she just walked away out of my life forever. And I was like, did that really happen? It's like still one of the craziest moments I think I've ever had with anybody. That was like, I still am like, yeah, that really happened. And it was really crazy.
to be to be on the to be on the other end of that, to be her, and just to know that you can walk up to someone and like absolutely change their life and give them a memory they'll never ever forget.
Yep, totally.
It must be cool. It must be cool to have
Yeah,
that much power.
I would say so. I think that's probably an
Yeah.
interesting feeling. Like if you're that if you're that big, like if you're like a Paul McCartney or something like that, like you just know whatever interaction you have with people, you can just either make their day or like ruin it. Like, could you imagine if she just came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I think that you're really ugly, and I think you should leave this party, Dylan." And then I just,
That's actually,
cried
That's
for the
actually a
rest
good
of my
question
life.
though. Like, if a celebrity like that walked up to me and said, "You are so fucking ugly, and you should never show your face here again," I think I would just laugh and I would say, "Life is short, you know. Like,
Yeah.
eat a banana,
Totally.
honestly.
Yeah, totally. Need that potassium. That's what
You
I'd
need
say.
that potassium."
Have you ever done anything to somebody random just for the hell of it? I feel like it's a no. I feel like I'm
No,
going to say no. Have you ever just no?
no, because I feel like I don't know what that would I don't know what that would warrant.
Okay. Okay.
Do you mean like people that would know who I am?
Yeah, maybe. Or just like, I don't know, if like, you know what white bear moments are, where you like imagine something like, what if I did this right now? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fantasy kind of thing. Like, have you ever acted out anything like that ever? And it could be with a fan, it could be with whoever. Have you just gone, I'm just going to do this and see what happens?
Oh. Oh, I mean, probably when I'm drunk.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Right.
But I I get scared of things like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Yeah.
anticipation just builds so much in my brain that I'm like, there's no way I could do this without like
Right.
falling down or without my voice cracking or like without
Uh-huh.
pissing my little pants.
My little pants. I just pictured you wearing little
The smaller
pants and then
ones, yeah.
pissing. Yeah, the smaller ones that you have, and then you piss in them. Um,
What are you drinking? Is that water?
just some agua.
Oh, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
gotta try
it
it.
should be straight vodka.
Oh God. I was just talking about vodka with someone and how I don't think I ever need vodka ever again.
What's your drink of choice? Did you have a drink of choice this year? I know you were talking about wine. You're a wine guy?
I'm a wine guy. I really love
Mm.
bourbon nowadays as a
Mm-hmm.
sipper, as a nice sipper.
Mm-hmm.
You like bourbon, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you a whiskey gal?
I do. Yeah, yeah. I like Macallan's. Have you ever had Macallan's?
No.
I'm gonna give you some sometime. You'll like it. It's very good.
I think there's nothing more emasculating than me liking whiskey and not knowing any brands. So when like men, because gay
Mm-hmm.
men aren't real men, when men come up to me and they
Uh-huh.
say, you know, what's your favorite kind of whiskey? Like we can bond over this. I'm like, buddy,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
wells run dry. I got nothing for you.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bullet
Yeah.
and I know
Mm-hmm.
Jack.
Yeah. Well, really, that's all you need to know, from my understanding. I don't know much either. I just pretend to seem
Kind of feel that way too.
more in tune. Yeah. I know a couple things, and then that's all I say, and then I leave it at that
We're getting
because
a
I don't
lot
know
of
too many things. But
like typographical sculptures in the
I saw
chat,
that.
like sort of
Yeah.
digital statues from
Some
another time.
Sure. Some ancient Egyptians here in this chat tonight, leaving hieroglyphic comments.
Oh yeah, I guess it could be.
Yeah, could be. That'd be really interesting. If you can you imagine people dressed like that sitting on the other side of their phones, like doing hieroglyphic comments in the chat?
What I like to think of is just kind of a blank slate. Just a blank slate and just like kind of starting over. You know what I mean? And I think
Mm-hmm,
that's what
mm-hmm.
2022 is gonna give us.
Hopefully, yeah. I need a nice blank slate year to throw whatever on. How about you?
I definitely do too. I definitely do too.
Mm-hmm.
I think this happens to me every year at the end of the year. I'm always like, I've dirtied this canvas so much, clean white.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're gonna get it. And I think we're gonna get it. I don't know if COVID's gonna
Mm.
ruin the entire year again, but there's a strong possibility. So if that happens,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that was one thing that I had on here that I wanted to talk to you about was especially performing again, kind of in this era of COVID, when we couldn't for a while. How what does that feel like to you now, being on stage and performing for people as compared to pre-COVID? Do you feel any difference as a performer and also the interaction with the audience?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, well, I've only been on one tour, post-COVID, but yeah, it definitely felt a lot different. I mean, I think people, including myself, are just stoked to be working again and to be doing anything that fulfills them. And performing definitely fulfills me personally. And I think, yeah, the crowds this run have seemed to be very smiley and very engaged and positive. And so that's a bright side, you know?
Absolutely.
What about you? I know you've performed a little bit.
Yeah, I've started performing quite a bit recently. And it's weird because all the gigs that I was doing pre-COVID for my solo stuff were a lot smaller. I've been doing some bigger ones. Like, I don't even know what happened. I feel like during COVID, I got shot out into some like vortex, and I've just been playing like some really fun gigs that I've always wanted to play. And I'm like, how do I just keep this going? Part of me is like, it's only because it's COVID. Like, that's my insecure artist brain, because I've played like a few festivals now.
Yeah.
And playing those during COVID was really weird. So like, I played the Beach Life Festival in Redondo, and there was this insane amount of like masculine energy in the crowd, and people were like more, I don't know, like excited and jumpy and yelling things at the stage more than I've ever experienced. And I don't know if that was just like because of COVID, or if that was like the type of crowd that happened to be at this festival, but that was like very new to me. But I enjoyed this give and take sort of thing more. Before that probably would have screwed me up, but now I just appreciate anything. Like, I feel a different kind of appreciation being on stage, especially for having not been for so long. I kind of forgot what that felt like and how much I loved it, and how much it's kind of been a part of, I don't know, like who I associate myself with, which can be good or bad. Like, you know, like maybe this happened to you, but when you were off stage for a long time, did you feel like you were losing a part of yourself, or were you okay to kind of put that on like the back burner for a little while?
When I'm off stage?
Yeah, when you were off stage for like a year, when you couldn't perform, like, did you feel like a part of your identity was missing because you've always been performing? So was that the sort of thing where you felt a little lost, or did you go like, great, I can take a break, who cares?
Yeah, well, I was grateful for a break because we'd been going for so long. And there were times when I was like, something is off, something doesn't feel right. I feel a little empty no matter what I do. And then now, you know, performing again. And I mean, even the first show back, I was like, oh yeah, this is like something I really kind of love and maybe like need a little bit, you know? And
Yeah,
just totally who we are. That's what we do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know. And that's when, you know, I think too, like if you've ever had any doubts about performing or your self-identity on stage as a performer, and then you're forced to take a break for a year and you realize how much you miss it, I think that's kind of like, okay, I have to keep doing this for myself, you know, that kind of that kind of feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's nice. It's nice to feel that way.
It is. It's good to have that affirmation.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. We still love it. Still in the game.
We do.
You know, us old veterans over here.
Oh my God, I feel like a veteran.
I get it. Sometimes I do too. Oh, another thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know from a long time ago how much you enjoyed this group. I'm curious to know how you feel about the disbandment, that's not a word, the breakup of Daft Punk.
That's a good question. I feel a little disappointed because they are so good together, obviously. I love their music and I love what they do. And I was enjoying the ride. But they've also given me personally so much that I just love and appreciate. And they really set the groundwork for so many people that I love that I'm like, okay, you can take a break. You're fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure they wanted to, because
that.
I feel like they were everywhere for so long.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I feel like to that, knowing your world of music from when we were kids, and how, I think you may have showed me their music a long time ago. I think you may have been my introduction to them, and knowing that, but then seeing where they met in the middle with Random Access Memories and how funky that was, I feel like that was like partially like your world, and then mine kind of like coming together, and we both could like bond over that. I remember when I was at your old house and you were just playing it, and I was like, yes, like just that album specifically, it's just so good.
Yeah,
so much good music.
And then when that album first came out too, I was like, this is not what I wanted initially, because I didn't realize at the time that like, I didn't realize at the time that like artists, that's what they're supposed to do. That's what you want them to do. You want them to branch out, and you want them to experiment. But now I love that record. It is so, so good. And I don't, maybe they're going to be ghost producing or something. I don't know. Cause I can't imagine them
That'd be cool.
stopping music forever, cause they're so passionate about it very clearly.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I hope you get the chance to work with them if they ever do that kind of thing. That would actually be very cool.
Me too.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I love that.
That would be crazy. Okay, then we had a couple other things. So obviously Joe Biden is the president and Kamala Harris is the vice president.
Yeah.
That was a crazy victory for our country this year. Kind of just curious to know. Okay, so politics seemed to be exciting, not to get too political, but just politics was exciting when we had Trump because it was off the rails, right? There was like Twitter, all this crazy stuff going on. And now it's back to kind of being like boring politics to me again, right? And I remember there was this divide happening when they won the election of like, politics is going to be boring now. I remember seeing that all across social media, and I thought, why does anybody care about whether it's boring or not? And I'm curious to know your take on, do you feel politics should be exciting, or do you think it should just be kind of like, yeah, that's politics, right? Just surface level, whatever. Like, do you pay attention?
A loaded question. I personally don't.
Sure.
I don't think it should be for entertainment purposes. Like I think, and I don't know, I know next to nothing, but I'm talking about like international relations and domestic relations. About it and kind of be reverent, and because there are many decisions, huge decisions that we have to make that affect so many people's lives. So to be like, I love Trump's Twitter account and I love how mean he is just like so insane to me.
Yeah,
but I'm glad it's
was
gone.
Just such a weird. Yeah, me too. Well, he was banned, right, from Twitter. I remember that was a huge thing that happened in 2021. Like they just said it's too harmful. Like we can't have him tweeting anymore. And then that just got rid of everything. And it was like, just with the press of a button, I feel like everything just like it stopped being exciting, which was probably good in a lot of ways too. But yeah, very curious. Huge change there. I mean, like literally the biggest contrast that we could have imagined. Speaking of
definitely,
so speaking of politics, the Pentagon. Do you remember when the Pentagon released footage of UFOs this year and like said this is real footage, and then they just stopped talking about it?
Yeah.
Like, what?
We have no updates anymore.
Huge.
Weren't they supposed to have like a big press conference about it?
Something. I just feel like that's too big. That news is so huge, and it's something that we've been like wanting to know about for so long. For them to just drop that like that and then just go away from the topic forever. Like someone on Twitter said, do you remember when this happened? And I was like, oh yeah, like even I forgot. And that's like, we want to know if aliens exist, right? Don't you? I mean, that's like a crazy, can you imagine?
Oh yeah. No, I want to know. I
Yeah,
want to know, but I'm also kind of terrified. But I think they, like,
right.
aliens probably see our planet and they're like, we're not gonna melt. Like, they're already in over their head anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I do believe that there are aliens, though. What about you?
I definitely think there are aliens. Like, how
Hmm.
how could there not be? How could there not be?
Right. Yeah, I think it would be incredibly narcissistic to think that we are alone on this planet. Not saying like they're little green men with ray
Do you
guns,
ever
but there's something.
do you think about parallel? Because if there's parallel universe,
Hmm. Hmm.
then like something like, oh my God, I bet I was supposed to, this is really kind of morbid, but like
That's okay.
if I'm like in a near car accident or I like swerve to miss something, I'm like, oh my God, well, me in a
Hmm.
parallel universe probably just fucking died. Or I just died, but
Ooh.
suddenly in the blink of an eye, my consciousness was transferred into another
Mm.
timeline. So,
Mm.
food for thought.
Ooh, that's crazy. I just had this thought about parallel universe. I'm going to try to explain this because it seems a little abstract, but like, okay, so if there are parallel universes and it's a very contrasting universe, like you're very different than who you are now, right? So like, if you are succeeding in your life, maybe in the opposite one, you're failing, right? And then you know how people we live so long that we can kind of change into that thing that we don't want to be. What if really what that is that we end up in the parallel universe at the end of our lives sometimes if we didn't amount to the things we wanted to, or if we didn't become those people? What if that's just and and then that person is over here now experiencing that life? Does that make any sense at all?
I know what you're saying. Yeah. And I
Kind
think
of.
is, that's the concept. That's parallel universes, right? I mean, we're always
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuck wondering, could I be better?
Yes.
And for you
Mm.
and
That
I,
is
there's no.
mm-hmm. That's right. We've peaked. We've just been we've been in this peaking phase our entire lives. We came out of the womb
I
peaking. I did
know.
that. I don't know what that
It's
was,
super
but I
weird.
liked it. Yeah,
It's
it
weird,
hasn't
but
stopped
it's
for
funny.
us. Yeah, what? Yeah, it is funny. It is funny how we're just great all the time, you know? How did that
All
happen?
the
I don't know.
time.
All the time.
No
Um,
problems ever.
I wanted to ask you. Yeah, definitely not. No problems. I wanted to ask you because I know we were texting quite a bit about this, and we became a little obsessive about this recent case. But I'm curious to know: have you still been keeping up with Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie?
I have not. I have not. The
Okay.
last I heard was the major development regarding Brian.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's
Yeah, that was
that's
crazy.
that's as far as I did. The story continue after that? I
To
mean, of
be
course it
honest,
does because it's a real person.
well, right. I mean, did it get as much coverage? No. I mean, that's kind of how it always goes. But I'm just curious to know if Brian Laundrie's parents got charged. I don't know if anything happened there. I kind of stopped. It was overwhelming to me. Like I think I got a little obsessive because it was just such a crazy story, and that I just like couldn't. I needed to like not pay attention anymore. I just need, it was like taking up time and space. And Patty was like, you should stop reading about this all the time. I was like, I know, it's just so crazy though. So,
It was definitely
yeah.
a really tragic story, and I
Mm-hmm.
so many twists and turns in that case too. I was just like, this
Mm-hmm.
poor family. It's
I
very
know,
dark.
it's horrible. I know. And I don't understand why we as a species are drawn to things like that all the time. Like we love to follow stories like that and missing people. It's kind of, it's true crime. I think it's like, it's, there's like this true crime obsession that we have, I think, in this country. And I don't know if it's like that around the world. But are you into true crime? Do you listen to true crime podcasts or watch any of those shows about true crime or anything?
I think I had a phase where I was doing a lot of research and I was like
Mm-hmm.
interested in the stories of serial killers and like infamous. Well, there's a podcast that I used to listen to. I guess I still listen to it, called My Favorite Murder. We've talked about it, and
oh yeah, sure, big one. Yeah,
I feel like they've just like covered all the base. They've told all the stories, and I've listened to all the episodes. So now I have like a weird bank of information that is pretty good.
Totally. No, I get that. What I find fascinating about things like this, like true crime, or even this kind of case where, you know, you have Brian Laundrie doing what he did, and then obviously the way it ended for him in his life. I'm so not that it's just fascinating to think that there are people that are, right? Like that people can do these things and just seem so normal. Like that's why I think get drawn to those things, is I'm just like, how do these types of people exist? Like what makes somebody like that? It's just so fascinating. I think that's probably what everybody feels internally, you know. It's just like how.
And that's the same for me too.
Yeah,
I think the psychology is really fascinating. I just think the mind is fascinating because I have a mind, and it's very strange. It's a waste, and it's how the mind can be very powerful. And I just wonder like how it makes different people tick, because everybody has a different brain. Did you know that?
I do know that now, I think, because you told me. But I didn't know that before. I didn't know everyone's brains were different. What? I thought everybody thought the same as me and you. That's weird.
I know they should. Because we're always
absolutely right. That's right. And we have stellar brains. That's what I would say. Stellar brain. Stellar. Okay, I want to do. I want to get a one-word answer from you on each of these topics. I just want you to say whatever comes to mind. I don't want you to think too hard about this.
Okay.
So, okay, first one, Olivia Rodrigo.
Colorful. I just imagined her album cover.
Oh, right. It is colorful. That's true. QAnon.
I gotta say, Pizzagate.
What did you say?
Pizzagate.
Pizzagate. Yes, that's true. Pizzagate. Okay. Bitcoin.
What is it? Because I still don't know.
One word.
That's one word.
What is it?
What is it?
That is one word. What is it? What is it?
Yeah, I think it's Dutch.
I think so. Yeah, my Dutch friends say that a lot. All of my Dutch friends. Okay. Squid Game.
Violent. I mean, just so violent.
Violent. Did you watch it?
I did, but I didn't finish it.
Okay.
My favorite parts were violence. It was the games, because I thought they were really creative.
Yeah, of course. It is very creative.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, I do. Okay. Marvel movies.
No.
No. Yeah. Too many.
Too many.
Too many, right? Just too many. So many. It's like, that's all they make now. Oh, okay. NFTs.
Rich. Because people are making a lot of money off this.
Right. Do you understand that? Like, do you understand NFTs and Bitcoin and all this digital currency? Do you get it?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I think I'm just like, I'm like starting to see commercials for crypto now, and I'm like, you guys are stressing me the fuck out. I need some time to learn what this is before we sort of implement it into society, because I need to take my time with it. it seems complicated.
Yeah, totally. I get that. Yeah, I don't really understand it. And part of me, when people start talking about it like they really understand it, I just get very skeptical. Because I don't know. I'm like, people believed in those poly schemes and all that stuff too, and we're like really hyped up on things like that. And I don't know if they're in the same category. I sound uneducated on this because I am, and that's what I'm saying. I'm admitting that, but it doesn't sit right in my body. All this talk about digital currency, and I don't know if that's because it's like that's the future, or if it's because it just might just be kind of a scam sort of thing. I don't know.
That's how I feel too, and I guess that's the excitement of it, is that it is sort of a gamble to invest in it because it's so new. So
right.
You know, the people that invested in Apple, they're rich.
Yeah, that's true. They are very rich.
So sometimes this life is just about sort of throwing caution to the wind.
That is true. Caution to the wind. That was me throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah, just like that.
Just like that, really. Okay, so we lost some people this year, and I am curious to know how you feel about some of these deaths, if you care at all. I'm just very curious, or if you know any of these people specifically, if you had any connection. So first off on the list, Alex Trebek. He was the host of Jeopardy. Did you ever watch Jeopardy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I've certainly seen it.
Did you ever? Okay.
Very sad loss. I remember his announcement. He made the announcement that he was ill. And I thought that was sad. He seemed to be very beloved and
yes,
perhaps even a bit of a pioneer in his field, if I'm not mistaken.
I would say so.
So that was sad.
Yes, true. Okay, also, huge loss. We lost Larry King this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance? Did he ever interview you guys ever? Did you ever get a chance to meet him or anything?
We did one digital interview, probably in like 2013, a really long time ago.
Wow. Interesting story that I heard about Larry King, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that he had a button at his desk that would cut the tape when he had to fart. So he would press the button, fart, and then come back on. That's why apparently in the news they have these buttons too under the desk, like if you have to burp or something like that, or a cough. That's why you never really see people do that on the air. This is an old news trick that I've heard, and I heard Larry King used it a lot when he would fart, apparently. I've heard this from multiple people. I don't know how true it is, but
imagine like being on his staff and seeing that every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be horrible. But
that's
a good thing to remember Larry King with. Yes. Yeah, it is. Totally.
But rest in peace.
Yes. Rest in peace, Larry King. Prince Philip, are you into anything monarchy wise? England, Queen of England, any of that stuff? Did you watch The Crown?
I didn't. I did pay attention to the Princess Diana stories, the Princess Diana universe a bit, but I don't keep up with the royals, unfortunately. What did you think of that?
I watched The Crown on Netflix when I had COVID last year, or into early this year, and I found it very fascinating just how they all operate and the respect that everybody seems to have for them, but also the inner workings of how maniacal it can be and manipulative and all that kind of stuff. So when I heard Prince Philip died, it was just interesting because I had just finished watching The Crown, and I don't know how true everything was, but I was like, ooh, that man, I don't know, he was a very complicated man. And it was just interesting to have watched that and then hear about his passing. So
The
Yeah,
monarchy
that's
does
my
seem quite
knowledge.
complicated and very,
Oh yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
not surface level, but it's all about presentation, and that is a lot of
Yes.
pressure to put on a
Oh,
person.
yeah, yeah, upholding that for years and years and years. It's like, it's kind of like those people that you meet in Hollywood that care a lot about what they look like all the time and they can't go outside without it. It's like upholding that forever, basically, and ever. Like everything's got
Yeah.
to be pristine. That's a crazy amount of pressure. I bet all those people, yeah, they all had mental problems because of that. I mean, can you imagine? That's insane.
No, I mean, no, I would probably
Yeah.
crack. I mean, that's just insane, insane.
Hmm.
And so, well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also for me to like abide by any sort of regular convention,
Right. Hmm.
makes me so stressed because that's not something I've ever been able to do in my entire
Hmm.
life, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's yeah, it's kind of unreachable for the most part. And if you try to do it over and over and over again, eventually you'll just drive yourself crazy. So, yeah, totally
Right.
understand. Okay, then I'm curious to know if you could talk to me more about this artist. I have a feeling that this is more in your world. Obviously, very tragic young loss, but we lost Sophie this year.
Yeah.
DJ, what? Tell me more. I'm not
Sophie,
super familiar.
Sophie was a producer, electronic
Okay.
musician, producer,
Mm-hmm.
performance artist, visual
Mm-hmm.
artist sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, really just one of the only modern musicians, electronic musicians that really, in my opinion, was doing something really sonically interesting that I was like, wow, I can't
Mm-hmm.
wait to see what she does next. And I love
Mm-hmm.
experimental music too. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she just kept pushing the boundaries and also
Sure.
marrying that experimentalism with sort of like pop music sensibility, which I thought was, I mean, kind of
Mm-hmm.
brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was always, when she first hit the scene too, I was just so obsessed with her.
Wow. Very
And we
cool.
actually got an opportunity. I met her a couple times and I had worked in
Wow.
the studio with her a couple times. The song never came
Oh,
out,
crazy.
but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like very fortunate that I had that opportunity. So
Yeah.
really sad, really sad.
Yeah, that is sad. Yeah, I remember reading about that. I think on Billboard or something. Just so tragic, even the way that she passed. So sad. But now, with you having worked with her, do you have a recording of that, and do you ever listen back to it and think about that experience, or have you listened to that
No,
track you did in a while?
I
No.
don't know where it is. I think she might be the only
Ooh.
one that has the demos. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a version online. The song is called
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, like OOOHHH or something.
Oh, cool.
And the song is on YouTube, but it's a different vocalist. But that's
Sure,
the one I cut.
sure.
I don't know if I cut it originally, but I sang to that song.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully sometime you come across it or something. That would be pretty crazy to hear back now, I'm sure.
Oh, it'd be crazy.
Um, so another person, I'm curious to know if you know who this is at all. You may know of the band. So there's a band called ZZ Top. Do you know who
Hmm.
ZZ Top is? So Dusty Hill, who was their bass player, he was like really famous and he died this year. And I'm curious to know if you could sing a little ZZ Top for us right now.
Oh, I would love to. Actually, this
Yeah,
feels this might be a little disrespectful. I was I was gonna try and make something up, but I can tell you with all
that's what
honesty,
I
I
was hoping.
sincerely do not know one ZZ Top song, but I know that they have beards and sunglasses.
Yes, they do have beards. So now I figured you probably might not know any of their songs. So what if you now you know the visual image of ZZ Top, right? The Ray-Bans, big hats, and the long beards. So what is a song title that you assume would be a ZZ Top song if you just had to make something
Oh,
up?
uh, Mama, we're going down. Mama, we're going down.
That's actually not too far off. I
Yeah,
would say that's probably true
or like,
because they
or
were
like,
kind of
or
bluesy.
like Mudwater Blues.
That was their new album they were working on, and they couldn't do it because
Not a bad name, I have to
Dusty
say.
Hill died. No, totally. I think you should work on that one. That'll be great.
I think that. Were you a
first
fan?
collab
Are
if
you a
want.
fan of their music? I don't
Yeah.
remember. I think maybe you just said that. Okay.
Yeah, I to an extent, definitely. But I just, I was curious to know what you thought about ZZ Top and
About anything.
So thanks for clarifying that. No, it's okay. Who else? Oh, okay. A common one for us. Recently, we lost Stephen Sondheim. That was a big deal.
I know. Talk about a pioneer.
Talk about a pioneer.
Love so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What Stephen Sondheim written shows were you in when we were kids? I'm trying to remember if we were in any together. I know were you in Into the Woods with me?
Yes.
Okay. That was Stephen Sondheim.
Yes. Sweeney Todd I was in.
You were, oh yeah, that's right. You were in that. What else? I was in what's it called? Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. I think that was Stephen Sondheim too. When we were in high school.
Is it?
Is it? I think so.
I wasn't in that.
I hope so. Okay. You know what I always thought, and I don't know if we ever talked about this, but I always thought that song Joanna would be really pretty as like an acoustic guitar ballad. Like if a singer-songwriter covered that, I feel like that would be really good.
That would be pretty. Yeah, like a Matt Corby.
Like that kind of thing. Yes, or like a ZZ Top version.
I bet that would be good.
After Mudwater Blues.
Mudwater Blues. I'm
Blues.
telling you, man.
Yeah, big loss. Curious to know if you would like to make a comment on this as well. So we lost, I guess, an actor named Samuel E. Wright. He was the voice of the crab from The Little Mermaid.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, that is sad. He was, was the crab Jamaican? Is that
Sebastian? I do believe he spoke in a Jamaican accent.
Dialect. I was thinking about, I haven't seen that movie in a long time or listened to the music, but I was Googling people that had died this year, and that came up.
I hope they honor him at the Oscars.
I hope so too. I do like watching those when they honor people that died at the Oscars. But it's usually touching. And then like someone like Dave Matthews will come out and sing a sad song or something. It's always like random. Yes. So, okay, couple of Dave Matthews specifically. Okay, couple of personal things that have happened this year. You put out your Roses EP, and it's wonderful. And I am curious to know kind of how you're feeling now that it's out, because I understand how personal it feels to you when you're working on a project, and then how it's kind of like everybody else's when it's released. Like it's not just for you anymore. You've been living with these songs, and I'm curious to know a little bit more about your experience with putting it out, the reception, how you're feeling about it, and then what is next maybe for the Messer project next year.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
It was a very unique experience in many ways, but I think the songs that I had written for it, the songs that are on the EP, I feel like are songs that I've been meaning to write for maybe like 10 or 12 years that I just needed to get out. Which is an interesting experience, because as soon as I was done with them and as soon as I sort of like handed them off to my distributor, I was like, I don't even like, I'm over this phase already. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I'm just like, this is going to come out and it's not going to feel like me anymore. But I don't think that's a valid reason not to put it out, because I'm really enjoying it, and I like to be on an artist's journey from the very beginning to hear how they change and evolve and decisions they make. So it's sort of my open invitation to say, I'm starting this chapter of my life, so please join along if you wanna watch, because I feel like I'm just as much of an observer to my stuff as everyone else is, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, because I don't know if you experience this, but when you're writing songs and you're working on a project, sometimes these things come out of you and they don't necessarily feel like you until a little later. Maybe when you're reflecting back and you're like, oh, that's what I was really trying to say to myself. Like, how did this lyric come up? Where did that even come from? And then it makes sense to you a little later when it's out in the world and you've kind of like digested your own artistry a little bit more, your own song, your own lyrics. I tend to do that sometimes. I was curious to know if it feels that way to you.
I think we have, like, I think even from age like 15, 16, we were already starting to develop our personal musical styles. And I kind of feel like that that like never really dies. I think like it's not, you don't like start over because you're older. I think it's the entire span of the journey from point A to the point that you're at now. Where was I going with that? Oh, yes. I was just talking to somebody about that recently, actually, how it's like you write these things and you're kind of like in a blackout state and then you're finished. Yeah. And then you listen to it maybe like a year later and you're like, oh, like, wow, it feels fresh to me. And it feels like there's really a lot of, I really put a lot into it, even in the simpler songs. Like there's so much there, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Do you ever feel differently? Well, I guess pertaining to this project specifically, do you feel anything different about it now that it's been out for a minute as compared to before it was out and you were just working on these songs? Do you still feel close to it, or are you just kind of thinking about the next thing? Like, how do you feel about Roses now that it's out?
I still really love it. I mean, I will listen to it sometimes for fun, and it's just enjoyable. I mean, I think I enjoy it so much because I made it for myself, and and I love the sound, and I know what I was going for, and I'm so glad that the vision kind of makes itself known and makes itself clear. That makes me really happy. Absolutely. My issue now is I don't want to abandon that which I've cultivated in this direction. I don't want to abandon it so I can experiment with another field of sound. But I do want to evolve, and I've been sort of meditating on what that means.
Yeah, that makes sense. I totally understand that. So I guess that would lead me to ask, at this point in your artistry, do you feel like, let's say in your meditation or however this came up for you, it was like you should make I don't know, like a trap album with soul infused Depeche Mode types of sounds, like things like that. And you felt like that was kind of abandoning what you're doing now. Are you at a place where you could go, I'm done with this, I'm going to move on to this, even though it's going to be very different? Or are you trying to just connect everything that you've been doing and evolve it into the next thing? Like, could you go 360 right now, or does that freak you out?
I think I would be able to if I had more of a plan of action. But instinct, especially when I'm writing, if the song does sound too totally different from what I have done, then I'm more likely than not going to sort of put it on the back burner and attempt again to write something a little more aligned. You know?
How many songs did you have written for this project? Did you have a bunch of stuff and then you picked, or did you go, I just want to concentrate on, you know, X amount of songs and that's it? Or was it kind of just brought all together at the end?
Yeah, I had started doing a bunch of sessions at the beginning of COVID, doing a lot of remote sessions. And then I think one of the songs I wrote remotely with someone else, the other I wrote in person. No, that can't be right. That can't be right at all.
It's hard to remember.
They were largely collaborations, but I didn't have like a well of songs to pick from. There was probably maybe like 10 or 11 songs that I had written by the time I was like, I want to put an EP together. But the 5 that I chose were really the most cohesive, I think.
That's great. Do you have any plans to put out the other things, or kind of you're going to save them, see what happens with them?
Yeah, I'm going to put, well, there's one that's a B-side on a remix EP called Love Supply. And then there's coming out at the top of the year.
Oh, great. Okay. From the same session?
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like it. So I'm kind of riding that wave.
Yeah, sure. That's great. And now let's see, as far as music just for the rest of next year, are you wanting to continue putting out a bunch of Messer songs, or are you kind of taking a break to work on stuff? Like, what's your thought process right now for the next year in music?
Oh yeah, I definitely want to write as much as possible, and I want to put out music as soon as possible.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm putting pressure on myself, but I think if I don't, it won't get done. So
yeah, I get that. Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you feel about
kind of
this?
addicting.
How do you feel about like, are you okay with just doing one-off songs and just releasing them sort of willy-nilly? Because I like don't have an issue with that. You know what I mean?
I don't either. I at first I did until I started doing it. And to me, it kind of gives me this feeling of, if you're working on so many songs all at once, it's kind of like, I feel it's like spreading my imagination thin rather than giving all of it to one particular thing. Like almost like trying to make the one best song possible, and then you end up with having a lot of songs that you really put a lot of time into and like watered it. And even on the distribution side and how you promote it, like it can get very overwhelming to think about so many songs all at once. And I think, you know, especially with the way that music is now and so many artists releasing songs all the time, every day. I don't even remember what the number is, but it's a ton of new songs come out every day. Just putting your attention on one at a time, I think is good for you. And I think it's good for your audience. Just give them one little thing and then build it over time, and don't overwhelm people. That's kind of where I'm at. So I know the single world is bad.
Prefer singles over albums these days in terms of streaming, which is a little sad, but I don't think people have given up completely on the concept of an album. I think people I mean, like Adele, like people love albums.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think when you're Adele and you've kind of been leaving this breadcrumb release thing going forever, where it's like, this is my age, this is what I was feeling at this age, and now I'm going to name my album this age. Like that to me is a crazy arc that when you look back at the end of her life, it's kind of like we're all going to be living in her diary for her entire life. I think that's an amazing thing, and it's a cool marketing thing, but like her album, they're meant to be consumed as albums because this is a period of her life. You know, it's different.
Right.
If somebody wanted to do that, I can understand why an album would be listened to start to finish or be distributed like that, like in her point of view. But if you don't have that kind of thing, I don't think there's anything wrong with just putting out a song saying, this is how I feel right now. And then in 2 months, this is also how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Just like a little snapshot. You know?
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I am excited to hear more of your stuff. You have always shared a couple tracks with me before you put them out, and I always feel excited that I get to hear whatever you're working on before you put it out, which is always exciting, and I always feel honored when you share music with me. So We're all excited
Thank
to
you.
hear more
Likewise.
Messer
I
next
always
year.
fucking
Yes,
love your
yeah,
music.
absolutely. Thank you. I got to send you some new stuff I've been working on. I'm
I
excited.
really want to hear it.
Totally. What else was? Oh, okay. So in wrapping up, what are your top 3 positive takeaways from this past year, personally, professionally, or both?
I think I figured out a really
Mm-hmm.
good way to give the most of myself that I can give to
Mm-hmm.
others. That
Mm. Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
Like
Ooh.
I figured out, I
Yep.
think what I'm trying to say is I've done a lot of growing up and now I'm not so much of a selfish little baby anymore. I'm coming out of that. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm. Was there a time where you felt more selfish, like in a toxic way, or like would you say selfish as in I was putting up boundaries and doing something that was more for me this time? Like, how would you describe selfish?
I think I was just like trying to survive and just like hyper focusing on my own needs because I felt like at any minute I was going to fall apart. And state of mind,
Mm-hmm.
you can't be anything to anyone. You're just sort of
Sure.
existing. So I'm out of that
Mm-hmm.
now, and
That's good.
people rely on you, you know, and it's important. It's
Mm-hmm.
really one of the most important things to be there and be reliable for the
Mm-hmm.
people that rely on you.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that.
Um,
I think that's great.
I'm also good at tricking myself into not second guessing myself
Mm.
as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would you second guess yourself on normally? Was it everything or just creative things?
Mostly, yeah, mostly creative things. I think because I was
Mm-hmm.
in situations a lot of my music career where I like felt like I had to second guess myself, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just like it doesn't fucking matter. It's just like just make a
Mm-hmm.
choice, make choices, and a lot of them are going to be bad and some of them are going to
Yeah.
be good, and that's just how it goes. They can't all be winners. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't be afraid of failure, you know.
Yeah, totally. I hear you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I don't know, thinking about what you said about being selfish and all that. Like, I understand because I've gone through periods like that. I think even in this year, but I also found that there is some kind of healthy selfishness as well, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know
Totally,
if there's
yeah.
a word for it, but just kind of focusing on the things that you need and for you, and maybe that's a first. You know, maybe there are times where you've never done that, so it's kind of exciting to do that now. And
Yeah.
um, I because kind of the thing that you were saying is like from knowing you for a long time, I don't feel like you've ever been selfish in my experience with you. I think that you've always been a giving person that's probably given a lot more of yourself than you ever even needed to in certain moments, you know.
Mm,
So I think if you're at a place in your life where you're kind of like self preservating a little bit, self preservating, is that a word? I don't know. Self preserving. I like to make up words on Instagram Live. I think
no,
that's a
I
good
like
thing
it.
too. Like, yeah. But I don't know. I like this balance of figuring out how to be there for others and then also figuring out how to be there for yourself, because I think we either get too wrapped up in one or the other and there's never that kind of in between thing. I think that's what growing up hopefully you
Yeah.
find that. Does that make sense at all? I hope.
Yeah, I think it's just finding the flow state of life and not needing to be
Mm,
one extreme or the other. I don't know why we
yes.
all have the we feel like we need to be extreme, and if we're not this extreme, then automatically we're the bad extreme. But life isn't black and white like
Well,
that, you know?
yeah, something that I've started doing that's really helped me with all of these, like, you know, can I be this or that? Or what if I want to be this, but I'm trying to be that? Is I'm learning now to hold space for all of it, and changing
Yeah,
that, saying, I can be this and I can be this. I can do this
exactly.
and I can do this, like kind of holding on to both truths of things, even for a weird example, like I was watching a movie tonight, a Christmas movie that I have a lot of memories attached to with a certain person, and it was making me sad watching this movie because I was thinking about this person, but I also loved that movie.
Yeah.
And so I realized, oh, okay, watching this movie and associating it with this person makes me sad, and I still enjoy watching this movie.
Absolutely.
Like that helped me realize, like, you can do a lot of things. Like you can hold on to the both.
Yeah.
Like I can be there for people too much, and I can also be there for myself. I can figure out a way to do both of these things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally. That's such a beautiful lesson to learn, I think, because that, I guess that's also a part of growing up and maturing, but that also probably brings you a lot of peace too, because you stop catastrophizing every thought you have. It doesn't like, yeah, I don't even know how to put that into words, but I've been experiencing that feeling a lot too. A minute before you freak out, two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to stress about anything. There's no emergency.
Right. Like I've been thinking a lot about that this year. I'd say for me, that is what I've learned the most of this year, is how to hold on to a lot of contrasting feelings. Like even in an age of COVID where we're performing and maybe sometimes we feel like, is this okay? Like, is all of this okay, that to be out there, to be around people and to have our audiences maybe not be masked or whatever, like whatever the thing is. I'm just saying hypothetically, like you can, for example, love performing and need it for yourself, and at the same time be afraid and like, what the fuck is going on? This is COVID. Like, this is still a crazy time. You can hold on to both of these feelings. Like, I feel like I'm doing something right, and I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like, because nobody knows.
Think
we're all just,
we freak ourselves out because we're worried that we're the only person in the room that's presenting that way, that's so conflicted on the inside. And I feel like we're just worried that people are reading that on our faces. But the thing is, that's everybody's freaked out all the time. Everybody is panicked.
Well, yeah. And us, that's the thing too, is like, I think that there are a lot of people, or at least I was getting questions in on Twitter and stuff and different topics. And like, people are like, make sure you guys talk about what it's like to perform today. And this, like, we're freaked out too.
Yeah.
This is weird. Like, we haven't cracked some code to where this is all easy on us now. Like, this is still weird. We're all in this together. We're humans, whether we're on a stage or in the crowd, like we're all people. And, you know, like, it's just a weird time. And if we accept and embrace that it's just a weird time still, and we're not out of it, even though I think a lot of us would like to pretend to be or feel like we are, we're just not. And that's okay. And we can just carry on with our lives and just try to be as happy as possible and entertain and make people feel good, and also be freaked out at the same time. And go, what's going on, you know? Totally. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. I wanted to say thank you for hanging out. And I know that you're in the middle of a tour, and I'm very excited to see you. I'm coming. I may have texted you. I'm coming to the Grand Prairie show first night. So I'm very excited to see you. I haven't seen your Christmas show yet. I'm pumped.
PCR tests, and then, oh, sorry, you lagged.
Oh, I was just saying I haven't seen the Christmas show yet, and I'm excited. I've seen you at other times, but not during this season.
Okay.
I've never
seen
you're gonna
like it. I'm gonna be wearing. Oh, I won't be wearing my dress that night. I'm wearing it the next.
You're not? Well, I'll be wearing mine, so it's okay.
Okay, cool. And your faux fur Dalmatian coat.
Yes, over the dress.
Well, I love you, and I hope I get to hang out with you while we're both in on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'll hit you up. I don't have plans. I'm just chilling. So, yeah.
Same.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. And thanks for those of you who are staying up late. Great. This was really fun. And we'll do it again soon. Take care.
Love you.
Love you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye, everybody. See ya.
Bye.